Hi guys, welcome back to my channel ArtsyPutsy with me Putsy, and welcome to my very first Finding Foundation Week. So basically this week I'm going to post 5 videos a week, which is kind of a lot for me, but hopefully I can keep up with that. And this week it's going to be a foundation week. Every single day I'm going to do a first impression and review and wear test of foundations that I haven't tried before, obviously because it's first impression. The first foundation I'm going to review this week is this COVERGIRL Trublend Matte Foundation. And if you want to see the first impression, review and wear test of this foundation, then just keep on watching. By the way, I'm so sorry, I already have my eye makeup here because I'm currently filming another videos, and if you want to see the tutorial for this eye makeup right here, it should already be up on my channel, so make sure to check that out. I'm gonna link the video for this tutorial up here and also down below. Also, before we jump into the video, like I said, I'm going to post 5 videos this week. It's going to be a Finding Foundation week or Foundation week. I don't know what to name this series yet, but if you want to see what foundation I'm going to review, if you want to see the schedule, I'm going to write that down in the description box, so check that out as well. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss all the reviews. And so sorry for my hair because this looks very crazy, but yeah, my hair, a lot of short part here, and it's driving me crazy a little bit actually, but we're just going to pretend it looks somewhat okay. So this foundation right here is the COVERGIRL Trublend Matte Foundation, and I'm in the shade M10. If you want to know what shade I'm in other foundation, I'm going to list every single foundation shade I'm in that I have tried so far down in the description box as well. So this foundation right here retails kind of differently in different stores. In Ulta this is $11.50. In Amazon and Walmart they sell this around $8.50. It's obviously drugstore foundation and very affordable. I think the price is amazing. And one thing that I really love right off the bat about this foundation is obviously the shade range, because they have a lot of different shades. If I'm not mistaken, they have 40 shades. For foundation in general, that is incredible, but especially for the drugstore, because a lot of drugstore foundation doesn't have a lot of, an amazing shade range, and they focus this more for the undertone. I believe they have a lot of different undertone for the same kind of shade. So if you look up the name and the swatches, it's actually a little bit confusing to choose what shade you're in. But if you have trouble finding foundation that matches you perfectly in terms of undertones, then this foundation is the answer, because a lot of foundation lack undertone differentiations, and from the website they claim that this comes in a matte formula but isn't drying or cakey. This formula is developed with FlexiHold technology that creates a strong yet flexible film on skin for durability and comfort. The mattifying powders in this foundation will absorb oil and minimize pores for a soft matte flawless finish. The packaging overall I really like. This foundation already have a pump and a cap, but they still put a locking system here, which is perfect just to make this a little bit more secure, so you can travel with this with ease. You don't have to worry. So right off the bat, great point for the packaging, great point for the shades. And by the way, I have a very oily skin. My skin is a little bit problematic, sensitive, and I have a lot of acne scars, as you can see. And just like any other foundation reviews from me, I'm going to apply this foundation half of my face with a damp beauty blender and the other half of my face with a brush. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. I won't apply any primer, and I also won't apply a setting spray for the foundation review because I really want to know how the foundation works by itself. But I already applied just my usual skincare routine and also applied sunscreen. By the way, it looks kind of empty because I already put some in a little jar just for traveling purposes, but I haven't tried this at all. applying one palm first. The formula is very thick. As you can see, it didn't move at all. It doesn't drip down my hand here. It's a little bit thick, so I'm just going to so that's one palm. I think I'm going to apply a little bit more, just that much. So I'm going to blend this side first with the damp beauty blender. The foundation looks very light on my face, but I think compared to my neck, it kind of matches my neck because my face is a little bit darker than my neck. I honestly don't know if this is supposed to give me full coverage or medium coverage. I have seen reviews of this, but I already forgot about how it performs. Okay, this definitely like coverage. All the discoloration on my skin and the scars still peeking through like a lot. I think this is like medium coverage, a lighter medium coverage I think. But let's see with the brush. You know what, the shade is actually very light even compared to my neck, so I think I should have went with something around M40 maybe. I don't know if you can tell, but this already sets down a little bit darker and this side looks a lot lighter than this one, so I think over time this foundation will end up looking great for me, but hopefully it won't oxidize. Hopefully it's just gonna set down just like a lot of other matte foundation on the market. They usually sets down a little bit darker, but it not oxidizing throughout the day. But hopefully it won't oxidize, because I found that the old COVERGIRL foundation, you know, the one with the blue cap, does oxidize on me really bad and it turns a little bit orange at the end of the day, so hopefully this won't do that. That's just my main concern with this foundation. In terms of the finish, I really like the application with Beauty Blender a lot more, because yes, obviously this side will have a little bit more coverage because we use the brush. That's just how it is with the brush usually most of the time. But with a damp beauty blender, it just makes the foundation sink into the skin in a nice way, and it doesn't really clinging onto my scar in a weird way. But this one kind of emphasizes and just looks like sitting on top of my skin, and this is like a true matte finish. I don't think I need to set the foundation. Especially if you have normal to dry skin, you definitely don't need to set this foundation at all. But anyway, I don't think you will like this if you have dry skin, because around my nose I have a little bit of dry patches there, and it just clinging onto the dry patches and doesn't look great around here. So I don't know if you can see that, but this looks a little bit more cakey and clinging onto the skin and onto the scars and the pores. But this side looks a lot better. They claim this to be pore minimizing, and I have to agree with that for this side, for the side with the damp beauty blender, but for this side definitely not. So if you want the pore minimizing effect from this foundation, definitely apply them with a damp beauty blender. I'm just going to apply some more and try to build the coverage, and let's see if this build up really nicely. But because I already know that I like the beauty blender side a little bit, like a lot better, I'm just going to apply with a beauty blender now. So that's two layers of foundation, and it definitely covers up a little bit more, but I don't think I can layer this to reach a maximum, full coverage, because I don't like how it layers, especially around this side, because I already blend them with the brush, but on this side it layers really nicely. But if you have a lot of dry patches or if you have dry skin, I don't think you will like this at all, because it just enhances the dryness in a bad way. Just like around my eyebrow, around my nose, and around my chin, since I currently have acne here and here, it just doesn't sit on top of the acne and dry patches in a good way. So yeah. And one thing I noticed, I think a lot of people have noticed this as well. This is the only thing I remember vividly from other reviews that I've seen. This foundation has a lot of tiny little white dots on the face. Maybe it's from the powder peeking through from the inside of foundation. I don't know what it is, but the more I push the foundation into my skin, the more the white specks of powder come through. If you want to blend this, just blend it very lightly, and as soon as you're done blending them, just stop. Don't try to blend them more and more, because it's just gonna push the powder to the surface. I think this is the only foundation that does that, so that is very weird. It doesn't feel tacky at all. It does feel like I already set them with powder. Maybe they already have some powder. Also, besides the finish, I really like the way it feels on my skin. It doesn't feel heavy at all. It feels very lightweight, and I don't feel like I have foundation on, at least now. Overall, I'm not mad at this foundation. I like the finish. It's super matte, so if you have a very oily skin like me, you will like this initially. But let's just hope it will stay like this and can hold off the oiliness of my skin. If this does hold off the oiliness of my skin, I think I will like this a little bit more at the end of the day. But just for now, based on first impression, freshly blended, this is not my favorite. I think I will give this foundation like a C+ or a B-. I just hate this side. I don't like this at all. But I really like this side. So yeah, I'm just going to finish up the rest of my makeup, and I'm going to be back to give you another opinion. So I already finished up the rest of my makeup, and it's now 12:54. But when I first applied foundation and set them with the powder, it was around 12 o'clock, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Every single product I put on top of the foundation actually blends really nicely, except for the concealer. Maybe because the foundation are super matte, and the concealer that I use, which is this Revolution Concealer and Define Concealer, is also a little bit matte. So I think the combination of the two just makes this area a little bit more dry, and it blends a little bit harder. But I think if I use a more natural or dewy concealer, it will blend a little bit better. It does minimize the pores, but if you have a better skin than mine, if you don't have a lot of acne scar, it will look amazing on your skin. I think this will be a great foundation in days where I feel like my skin is a little bit better and not as dry in a lot of areas. I think if I want to use this foundation, I just have to make sure my skin are completely moisturized. I also have to make sure that I scrub my face the night before, and I just have to make sure that I apply them with a damp beauty blender. I just hate the way it looks around the dry area, the dry patches and all of that, but on the rest of my face I love it so far. So I'm just going to be back in 6 or 8 hours to give you my final thoughts, to see how the foundation hold up and to see if it actually looks better or can hold the oiliness of my face. And by the way, like I said before, if you want to see the tutorial of this entire makeup look, I'm going to link that video down below. So make sure to check that out, and I'm going to be back in a couple of hours to give you my final thoughts. So let me take off my glasses first. I cannot really see the viewfinder, but it's fine. It's currently the first initial application of the foundation was around 12 o'clock. So basically the foundation itself has been on my face for about 6 hours more or less, and I'm so sorry if I can do this for 8 hours. I will, but honestly I cannot because I suddenly start to get a little bit sick. My nose are very runny and my stomach doesn't feel that great. I'm just very tired and my head are spinning a little bit. I really need to get this makeup off my face and then snuggle on the bed, as you can see. I'm so sorry you can see this, I didn't even notice. But anyway, the foundation itself, I feel like I can already form an opinion based on 6-hour wear time, because 6 hours are usually the amount of time I wear foundation anyway, at least for me. I know usually 8 to 10 hours is the best time to really try out the foundation, but I think 6 hours is pretty good. And I have to say, I really hate this side like I said before, but this side looks a lot better. And the bronzer, the blush still pretty much there, the highlight still on point. My lipsticks are gone, and the foundation, don't mind this area, the nose area and my chin, and around my nose as well, because I put on the glasses. I cannot stand the contact lens anymore because my eyes just constantly watering because I'm getting a little bit sick. And around my nose was runny, so it disturbed the foundation a little bit, and also have a little bit of lipstick here. So sorry for that. But the rest of my face though, the foundation is still there. I feel like the color darkens a little bit, but it's not bad at all. It doesn't oxidize to the point that you cannot really wear the foundation anymore, because that was the case with the COVERGIRL Outlast Stay Fabulous foundation for me. It turned orange after 4 to 5 hours, and this doesn't do that, even though it does get darkened a little bit. The flash photography, not so bad, not the best, but it's not the worst either. You can see a little bit of light bouncing off your face, but it doesn't completely leave you with a ghostly white cast. The oil controlling though, I just have to come to terms that my face will look very oily with whatever foundation I put on top of my face, because this is usually the case with a lot of foundation. I haven't really found foundation that can completely hold off the oiliness of my face for more than 6 hours. But this is definitely not the worst. ColourPop foundation looks way greasier and more oily after just 4 or 5 hours, and I think in terms of the oil controlling, it's kind of similar to the Maybelline Superstay, and this lasting point of the foundation itself pretty much similar to that one as well. I mean, that one is a little bit more long lasting, but even for 6 hours the foundation is still on my face, except the part where I disturb the foundation. In other area, the foundation is still there. It doesn't disappear in a weird way. It's still there, like it's still pretty intact on my face, especially around the outside perimeter of my face and my forehead. And I have to say, I like this foundation a lot, and I feel like if I blot in my face, it will look pretty good still. And I think I can get away with a few more hours with this foundation, because even though I look very oily, it's not completely like greasy and gross in a way. Like, it's not to the point where I need to take this off. Also still feels very comfortable on the face. It obviously feels a little bit heavier than the initial application, but it's not that bad. And I have to say, I like the finish of it after a few hours after the initial application. After 2 hours, the oiliness of my face will start to peek through, but the oiliness kind of make the foundation looks a lot better, especially around the area where I have a lot of dry patches, or the area where my skin are a little bit dry. It just makes the foundation melts into the skin more nicely. 2 to 3 hour marks the oiliness just makes the foundation looks very natural and skin-like, but the oiliness doesn't make the foundation looks heavy or cakey, so I think that's a great sign. Only after 4.5 or 5 hours that I can see that my face looks a little bit more oily like now, but other than that, it's great. So I think overall I will give this foundation a B- because I really do love how this looks, especially after 2 hours. I feel like this is the exact opposite of the ColourPop foundation. I loved it initially, but after a few hours I started to like them a little bit less and less. But with this one I like them, but then as the time goes on I like them a little bit more and more. So yeah, that's my final thoughts on the CoverGirl Trublend Matte Foundation. Whether you want to try the foundation or not, I hope this helped. If you do like this video or if you find this video somewhat helpful, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like this video, and definitely let me know what other foundation you want me to try out. Also, don't forget to come back tomorrow to watch my other foundation review, and I hope I can get a little bit better so I can give a better review for you guys. And don't forget to check the schedule to see what other foundation I'm going to review this week in this Finding Foundation week. And if you want to see those reviews, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. The subscribe button is right down below. Lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope I can see you in my next video. Bye guys. And I just want to snuggle in bed now. I really want to go to bed. I need to. Bye. I'll give you my final update. What?